Shall I talk about Ron's Gone Wrong? Shall I? I was drifting back over to Marco Kinda. Shall I talk about Ron's Gone Wrong?
Yes, let's move on to Ron's Gone Wrong.
Let's move on to Ron Has Gone Wrong. Ron's Gone Wrong is the debut feature from Studio Locksmith Animation. It's the simple tale of a middle schooler named Barney, voiced by Jack Dylan Grazer, and his always online, artificially intelligent roaming robot social media platform Bebot Ron. Zach Galafalafel Banana Khakis, or... yeah. Barney begins the movie somewhat of an outcast, the only one in his school not in possession of a Bebot, the omnipresent tech toy which bonds with its owner and facilitates an endless stream of content generation out of their day-to-day activities. In a poor facsimile of actual social interaction, the Bebot platform makes influencers of a select few kids and followers of the rest, a situation which bizarrely, but I suppose necessarily for the plot, seems officially sanctioned by the school system, with rows of Bebot storage racking replacing lockers throughout the corridors. And I guess I would like to say that this is some sort of glimpse at a terrible techno future, but if you replace Bebots with mobile phones, I suppose this film's really about the status quo. Barney's single-parent father, Graham, Ed Helms, runs a cheap novelty import business out of the house, as one does, and simply isn't in a position to afford a Bebot for his son until, racked by guilt at his son's social disadvantage, he is able to buy a slightly damaged model quite literally off the back of a van outside the headquarters of Bubble, the tech giant creators responsible for this craze. Now, the last time I had faulty tech, the extent of my ensuing adventure was making an appointment at a Genius Bar just for some gratingly hip Instaclone half my age to patronise me, presumably because my failure to wear skinny jeans and transparently framed glasses offended their generative, adversarially networked sensibilities. Fortunately for Barney, he of course exists inside a movie, so in his case it translates to zany fun time shenanigans, as his Bebot Ron, bereft of safety protocols, teaches him and his classmates the meaning of true friendship, while sticking it to the man in the turtleneck sweater at the top of the big tech pyramid. If Ron's Gone Wrong has a message, however subtle, it's that social media is absolute soul-destroying bullshit which poisons people's minds by preying on their insecurities and negatively reinforcing their existing prejudices in pursuit of an infinitely recursive model of marketing monetization. Not a bad message, really, but for the fact that Ron doesn't quite follow through on its message by taking it to the logical conclusion of its child protagonist denouncing social media. They don't. Instead, they find some equilibrium, and I suppose all things in moderation is a more positive message than assimilate. But there definitely is something false about the movie's outcome. Nonetheless, the litmus test of Ron, which is clearly not a movie aimed at adults, is to consider the reaction of small people, by which I mean children and not midgets, obviously. And my two, children that is, not midgets, liked it well enough that I can barely remember many details less than a fortnight later seems largely inconsequential. Ron is a competently made movie with a sensible message, a good heart, and a decent sense of humour, which will entertain small people, and possibly midgets.
With apologies to our midget community out there. So,
I'm not going to pretend I'm in the pocket of Big Midget. Wait a minute. Wait.
Oh, we've been cancelled.
Yay.
Yes, haven't seen this. Can't comment.
No. I sincerely hope neither of you have. You have very little reason to have seen it.
I saw the trailer, thought, well, that's not for me.
It's actually far better than the sort of. I mean, if this movie were, oh my God! I mean, the Venn diagram of how this movie overlaps its message with any other number of kids' films in recent years, I suppose it's probably in the same ballpark as things like, what's the big inflatable robot thing?
Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6. Thank you, Drew. It's probably there's a lot of overlap with stuff like that, but it's surprisingly well done, and the voice performances are actually quite engaging. Nobody's really phoning it in. There's a lot of good humour in it, which the kids appreciate. There's actually a surprising amount of gentle humour for a film whose BBFC title card, I'm sure, contained a warning about sort of rude humour. It's actually quite gentle in a lot of respects, and as someone whose eldest child is probably like a year, maybe 2 years away from pestering me for their own phone, that so they can start partaking in that whole culture, it's a message that I'm glad enough that they receive in this form now at this point, because I think it is an incredibly valid message. It's not your typical Pixar movie. It's maybe not of that quality, but it's not as bad as I expected. I didn't fall asleep watching it with them.
I didn't look at it and think it looked bad. I thought it's probably just not for me. But there is one thing I see beyond all the things you've said, Craig, that actually makes it sound at least mildly appealing to me, is that it's written by Peter Bainham, which I did not expect.
Yes, and a fact which I only realised earlier tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be enough to get me to check it out, other than what you've said as well.
Yeah. I don't think you'd count it as his best work, certainly, but it's...
I think that would be unlikely for someone who's watching Brass Eye, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But it's pretty... It's better than all right. It's slightly good.
Such fulsome praise there, Craig.
Yeah. Yeah, when it pops up on Netflix and my kids inevitably say, "Oh, Ron's Gone Wrong, can we watch that?" I'm not going to say no. Oh, yeah, all right, I'll watch that with you again, whatever. I'll probably have one earbud in, the one facing away from them so they can't see, listening to podcasts and pretending to engage with it. But, I'm not going to leave the room or anything. I'm not going to leave the room or anything. There's a quote for the posters. How come both of you guys have been quoted on a movie poster and I haven't? Where's the
you
justice
need to lie
in that?
more.
Yeah. Be less honest. Ron would be
5
disappointed.
stars.
Yeah. Yeah. Change my name to Paul Ross.
Yes.